Welcome back in, everybody, to Pro Football Enterprises. I am Ben Parker and joined this week by Austin Freed. Austin, a privilege to have you on board as always, and we really do enjoy hashing out the things that we're seeing. We do not try, I say this all the time, we do not try to present one viewpoint and only pump up our guy. If we like a guy, we'll say so, but we're also going to talk about his weaknesses and his blemishes or his limitations, however you want to phrase it. We are not here to try to pump a guy up the mock draft boards. Okay, if we really love a guy, we'll say it, but we will talk about everything that we see. And we are proud to present Chris Bell here tonight from Louisville, wide receiver. I will give the rundown, and then we'll hear from Austin first. Height 6'2", 220 is the most common thing I've seen on the website. Stay tuned to the NFL Combine for that. 24 numbers. The catches were 43. That ramped up big time in 25 with 72 catches. The receiving yards in 24, 737, moved up, of course, to over 925. The yards per catches were a whopping 17.1 and 24. They went down in 25 to 12.7, but that's not unusual. We see that a lot with wide receivers for a couple of different reasons. But again, still a good 12.7 there in 25. And touchdowns moved up from 4 to 6. So two productive seasons with 25 being the more productive year. Austin, take it away, man.
Yeah, Chris Bell is a big prototypical X wide receiver, but that does not limit his usage or role at all. I don't think I saw him move around the formation a lot in Louisville. I even saw him in the backfield on like a wildcat formation that they ran. So he's definitely comfortable moving around the field, and I actually thought I saw some of his best work out of the slot because he is so dangerous over the middle. That to me is where he shines as a receiver, is running these crossing routes over the middle or even just like a hitch from the slot. Anything where he's short over the middle, I think he excels at. I think he works back to the ball really well on those kind of routes, which is one of the biggest pet peeves for me is or when a receiver is a what I call a drifter, where they like get open, the ball's thrown to them, and they drift away from the ball rather than attack the ball to try and go catch it. But I think he does that really well, and that was something I really just caught my eye. He has really solid hands. I won't call them great hands, but his like contested catch ability is really solid. I think he uses his body really well. He has size on most corners he plays against in the ACC and in college in general, and he uses his body to shield off these smaller defenders really well. We'll see how that translates when he gets up against the slightly larger players in the league, but he's still a big wide receiver by most standards, so I think he should be able to carry that over. I saw a lot of people talk about his deep ball ability, and it's just not super great for me. When I look at his release package, I do love his release package laterally, and that has to do with a lot of the reason he's so good over the middle to me is because his ability to get off the line and get lateral is really good, and he shows that on outbreakers as well. But I don't see him get great releases and stack a DB quickly too often. Even though he did show some ability to do that, it just wasn't as clean as I would like. He seems to be a very athletic guy. He has really good burst, I think, which helps him off the line. His second gear, though, is the problem for me. I don't see him ramp up to full speed very quick. When he gets up to full speed, he strides out tremendously. And I think he does have very good long speed. If he ever catches something crossing over the middle and is wide open, he can absolutely blow by defenders. And I saw him do that on film a couple times. But that second gear is just a little bit of, like chugging along. So that is a slight knock I have against him. And I think that's sort of why I don't think the stacking the corner is something he excels at. But when he has the ball in his hands, I think he's really good. He's tough to bring down. He has elusiveness and strength with the ball in his hands. And I really like this player. He gave me shades of Michael Thomas, who is of similar size, really good burst, release off the line. I think Michael Thomas has way crisper and cleaner routes than Chris Bell does. But Chris Bell, I think, has that extra gear after the catch, that long striding speed that Michael Thomas kind of lacked. But I think in a lot of ways, they're similar athletes.
It's a good point there on the Michael Thomas thing. I like that. So that's excellent work. I feel like you and I are fairly close on Chris Bell here. I was curious to see because again, there's so many receivers in this year's draft, and there's so many different flavors, and you then start to question, well, yes, I like this guy, but do I like this style? Does it fit what I need or want here? So I'm always curious when we get to some of these receivers what we're going to like, but we're fairly close here on Chris Bell. So I'll run through my notes here. I think some of it will be redundant with what you said, and then we'll start to hash out any differences that we're seeing and give out our. I'll go out my grade immediately. Actually, I've got a middle second round grade on him is where I have him. Say in an average draft, any typical average draft, that's where I would have him. That's where I would expect to find a guy of this height, weight, speed, kind of a thing. Having said that, I have mock drafted him in the late first round more than once. I've seen it more than once on a lot of different mocks. And if a team needs a wide receiver, and if they decide they need this kind of wide receiver late in the first round, I have no problem with it. It wouldn't bother me at all. So again, boy, there's just so many receivers this year. It depends on what a team late in the first round needs. Ultimately, I've got a mid-second round grade here on Chris Bell is about where I'm at on him. So I love his yak, his yards after the catch. I really enjoyed that. I thought the yak was fantastic. He gets upfield fast after the catch. By that I mean he doesn't dance or fool around. It's just all straight business. You don't see a lot of trying to fake people out. It's catch and move, and I appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that he catches the ball and he gets upfield. It looks professional when I see him do that. I don't see a lot of trying to dance around. So I appreciate that. He frequently explodes, covers a lot of ground fast. I think that relates to the first and third gear that you were talking about, where you see he can get open, and then he doesn't necessarily have that great second gear, like you said. But once he gets moving, full speed, the third gear is good as well. I would not want to play man against him unless the defensive back was both sticky and a good tackler. It really felt like Chris Bell knew how to get open against man coverage. And unless you were going to tackle him immediately, it felt like playing, press man against him was a bit of a problem. So I really would not want to do that. I liked what he did there. Even in zone, you have to tackle him quick and sure because, boy, he will get away fast. And that's why that really is where the yak yardage comes from, is that he just gets away from you fast. He doesn't stall around. He's on the move. So even in zone, you got to tackle him quick. Snatches passes, I like the hands. Again, like you said, not elite hands, but I like the hands. I thought he had a good set there. Good short out routes, great crossing routes. You mentioned the over the middle. I agree. I think over the middle is by far his strong suit. Really do. Now he's got to counter that. He does have a good short out route that he consistently uses. That's effective, but really that's the counter. His main move is over the middle. It's over. That could be short, deeper. It's over the middle stuff. Boy, he is great in over the middle stuff. Good vertical route, fly route, can win deep if the safety isn't sitting over the top. That's something you'll see from time to time. You alluded to it that he does do it, but that's not his main weapon, and that's not how he's really going to win consistently at the NFL level. He's just not. He can win deep, especially again if it's man coverage and they're trying to stop the inside stuff. He can catch them and he can scoot on past them. But if they're playing off man, he's not going to fly past that. And for sure, if they decide to put a safety over the top of him, he's not going to win there. That's just not going to happen downfield. I mean, so his one way to win on the vertical fly routes is if you're trying to press him, stop the inside stuff, and he scoots past you. So, but he did that a fair amount. So it is something he can produce with, kind of as an offsetting. Does not play particularly tall or big. not going to play above the rim or win many jump balls. He kept his feet on the ground for the most part. I felt like compared to a lot of other receivers we talk about, it's not that he never goes up and catches a pass, but he likes to keep his feet on the ground and he likes to move after he catches the football. So he's not going to do a ton of boundary work or a ton of back of the end zone type of work. That's not going to be his best routes. Typically at the NFL level, didn't see it at the college level as much. Just accelerates so quickly once he has the ball. Now, that's different from the second gear you were talking about. I felt like he stays on the move a lot. Matter of fact, let me read my next note with it. Needs to move. Didn't seem great at finding open pockets in zone. I didn't think he was great at settling into a zone. And when he did settle and catch a ball, he doesn't move quick off of that. But when he is moving, like he's already on the move, moving through these zones, that's where he's most effective. He can move quick when he catches the ball. He gets into that third gear, the long strides you were talking about, very effectively. So I thought him moving through zones was devastating to people, and I thought he did an excellent job with that. Makes tough catches, back shoulder stuff, comeback routes was very effective at that. You mentioned that him coming back to the football, excellent. Really, that helps him out a lot. I do wonder. Final note on him. I do wonder how productive he will be at the NFL level when corners decide to play inside leverage or when they have strong inside help. To me, it's not the only thing he does, but his work over the middle is so much a huge part of his game. Once defensive backs decide to readjust to that, I know he's got the short out route and he can win deep some, but man, so much of his game is predicated on that inside over the middle work. If defensive backs start playing inside leverage, or if you have a linebacker who's providing the inside help because maybe he's the best receiver on the team that year, does his production start to go down some? And that is a small concern for me, but it's not the biggest concern in the world. I just felt like that was one way to start trying to attack him. I really do like him. I've got him anywhere from middle second round to late first is kind of my range for him. So back to you, Austin. Final word and where you would really want to be taking him at.
So the injury does play a big key in this ranking for me. I think if he hadn't have torn his ACL, I would have like a high second round grade on him towards the top end of the second, probably around player 40 to 35 in the class. The injury does concern me because he is so explosive and an ACL injury can take explosiveness out of a player,
Right,
even if just for a short period of time. Sometimes they get it back, sometimes they don't. And sometimes it takes 3 years before we see the player really truly get that level of explosiveness they have. I'm thinking of like Javonte Williams as a recent example of someone who got it back, but it took them a long time and it might not have even been what it was
right.
before. But the with the injury, I have him as a late second round pick to an early third. There are some concerns with his route running. I think at the top of his routes, of these sort of intermediate routes where he's got to kind of shake, and either the options are shake and go left, shake and go right, shake and work your way back, or do some sort of double move and keep going downfield.
Right.
I don't think he's necessarily effective there at all. Part of the reason why I think he works back to the ball so well is because he doesn't get separation there and he has to work back, which he
Yeah.
does well, I think.
Yeah.
But like I said, there is a lot to like about the player. I do see shades of Michael Thomas, who at one point was the best receiver in the National Football League.
Yeah.
Obviously tied with Drew Brees, though. Like, I don't think that was
Right.
all Michael Thomas. I think it was his skill set being paired with a great coach and quarterback that allowed him to succeed. If Chris Bell comes back healthy and is paired with a coach and a quarterback who allows him to succeed, I'm thinking Rashee Rice type with Kansas City. I could
Yeah.
see him serving in like that role if Rashee Rice were to be moved on from and Chris Bell were to slot in there. I could see him having a great career, but I could also see him, having a lower percentile outcome because of injury and just some lack of polish if he doesn't polish that. So I currently have him just outside my top 50. I would be comfortable taking him late second round just due to the upside.
It's a great point you make about the injury because in any year that's going to affect it, but especially in this crowded field of receivers, man, these teams, us as part-time evaluators, but the teams as full-time, they're looking for any differences between these receivers in terms of where they would take them. So yeah, 1,000% agree. If the injury, if he can't be evaluated the way these teams would like to at draft time or before draft time, that for me as well is going to pull him down until further notice. Doesn't mean he can't have a fantastic career. It just means, hey, I don't want to take you 35 or 40 if
Mhm.
I can't really get a good look at you. So agreed. All right, everybody, that is Chris Bell. You'll notice the box score logo in my lower right corner. Probably the same for you as well. We have all of our defensive prospects currently going over to the box score YouTube channel. So if you want to see some defensive guys, they're over there. All of our offensive guys that we're putting out, we don't get a chance to cover everybody. We just don't have that kind of time. But we're covering a lot of people, and we'll keep doing it until a week or two before the draft. But all of our offensive guys are staying on this channel. So that's Chris Bell from Louisville. Everybody, we appreciate you hanging in there and watching with us. Have a great one, and we'll see you next time.